What's going on YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, all platforms? Welcome to Giants Convo, man. Hey, we got some breaking news for you Giants fans, man. Hey, listen, we hired a new DB coach after firing Jerome Henderson, Mr. Marquand Manuel. We're going to talk about the hire and we're going to give you his credentials, man. So after the intro, let's get into it. Let's go. Welcome to Giants Convo. All right, Giants Convo. Hey, we hired a DB coach today in Mr. Marquand Manuel after the surprising firing of Jerome Henderson, our DB's coach, man. I'm glad they moved quickly on this and hired somebody to replace Jerome Henderson so he can get in here and get acclimated with these DBs. He especially needs somebody for Deontay Banks and to continue the good process of Mr. Drew Phillips, who was playing very well. We do need another DB on the opposite side. Hopefully, I want us to go the veteran route, somebody like a Travaris Ward or somebody like that, to bring in here to play opposite of Deontay Banks to teach him on how to be a better professional and a better, scheme fit for, I guess we're going running it back with the same scheme with Shane Bowen. So he's going to have to learn how to be a better zone cover type DB. As you know, Deontay Banks struggled mightily this year, but he did face monsters all year. I said that he was going to struggle a little bit this year, man. He played against Justin Jefferson, CeeDee Lamb twice, Mike Evans. I mean, Amari Cooper with the Browns. I mean, the list goes on and on and on of all the people that he faced this year. So we're going to get into the credentials of Mr. Marquand Manuel. NYG, he always handles the credentials. He's the one that's always looking into what are we hiring here, NYG? What are we hiring here in Marquand Manuel?
Well, Mr. Marquand Manuel started out as a Florida intern. Your squad, man, down there.
Gator. Let's go.
But was a Seattle assistant special teams coordinator, then became a Seattle defensive assistant. Progressed from there to become the assistant secondary coach with Seattle, then moved on to the Falcons, became a secondary coach, and then ultimately a defensive coordinator there. Was in the division actually with the Philadelphia Eagles, and then went over to the Jets for the last 3 years as a safeties coach. Now, the thing about Mr. Marquand Manuel is, of course, when we get into his coaching career, it started with the Seahawks, of course, and that Legion of Boom, of course, when he helped them reach the Super Bowl, and then he was promoted and helped them reach another Super Bowl. And they lost that one, of course, with the.
So he was a part of those Legion of Boom years, which is pretty good because that secondary was one of the best, probably of all time. Let's keep it real. It's one of the best secondaries of all time.
Absolutely.
With those dudes, with Bam Bam, Thomas, Sherman, and then they had like Maxwell and Brandon Browner doing those years as well. They traded Brandon Browner was first, and then Maxwell came in after that. So, I mean, that's a good start. I mean, you can't complain with that. He was a part of that. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's a championship winning defense, championship winning secondary. So, I mean, where do you stop next?
Definitely. So after that, like I said, went to the Falcons, as a DB coach there. Over there with Dan Quinn, came over from Seattle. Um, Says he interviewed for the Jacksonville Jaguars defensive coordinator job, but did not get the job. Um, and then in 2016, got to another Super Bowl with the Falcons.
Yeah.
And they lost to the New England Patriots. Now, real quick on that Falcons team, notable names, because I know a lot of people probably don't know much about Falcons secondary. Not a team known for their defense, but key names here: Desmond Trufant and Keanu Neal. Now
Another Gator.
Keanu Neal made the Pro Bowl that year in 2017, and of course Desmond Trufant, who has been a pretty good player in his career for the Falcons. So definitely, definitely did his thing over there in Atlanta. I will say, with the Super Bowl appearance, and of course, coordinating a defensive back led by Desmond Trufant and Pro Bowler Keanu Neal. So, what do you think about?
I mean, back-to-back stops where people went to championships that he was on the secondaries. Show progress. Keanu Neal made I think that's his only Pro Bowl actually making it.
Yeah.
The Pro Bowl was when he was the DB's coach, and he got a champ. He was with 2 Super Bowls with Seattle, and they were at the Super Bowl where they had a 28-3 lead over the New England Patriots. I never understood that game, but looks like he knows what he's doing. Just keep it honest with you. Looks like he knows what he's doing. He has some good prospects at both those locations. Pro Bowlers all throughout Seattle. I'm not saying that it was all him, but he was a part of it, and he was a part of it with the Atlanta Falcons. And he got Keanu Neal, his only Pro Bowl bid. And when he left, Keanu Neal left. You know what I'm saying? Like, he wasn't the same player. So, I mean, that's the first 2 stops. Hey, I'm with it with the first 2 stops. What else has he done?
All right. And then went over to Philadelphia. Stopped over there as their defensive back coach for a season. And of course, you know their backs pretty well. Darius Slay being one of the main ones. They had Rodney McLeod on that team, Jalen Mills, who the Giants signed, and Avonte Maddox. So not a star-studded lineup, if you may say, but definitely wasn't a great year for the Eagles that year. So that one might be a little bit of an if you want to say that, but still you got Slay over there, who, I mean, he's Darius Slay, so
yeah, I mean,
doesn't really matter who you put what defensive
especially
coach
on
you put
those
over
years.
there.
That's when he was in his prime, those years. So
Yeah,
I mean, Slay was pretty good. I mean, I'm not gonna say that's a failure over there with the Eagles, because
I don't think it's a
Eagles
failure.
secondary, I think, was pretty good that year too. To be honest with you. And then after the Eagles, it looks like he was with the Jets the past 3 years, correct?
Yes, with the Jets the past 3 years, and the Jets, of course, DJ Reed, somebody Giants fans should keep an eye on. I know Pat's going to get into that. Jordan Whitehead, very good safety. Had Michael Carter the second over there last year, and Tony Adams, as well as the mentioned Sauce Gardner. So definitely a loaded secondary over there with the Jets.
Basically, everywhere he's gone, he's had pretty good secondaries everywhere he's gone. So I'm not going to poo-poo the man. I think it's a very good hire. Yeah, I think it's a very good hire since you let go of Jerome Henderson. I am of cleaning out this Giants organization. They may be good coaches, but maybe it's just time for some of these coaches to move on to better pastures, man. Like, sometimes change is needed for things to happen well. We know that. So, yeah, I think this is a very good hire. His credentials look up to par. So there's not like something like the Dabo Files we did where, everywhere he's been, and it's been kind of bad. But You can only say there's only been like one quote unquote bad stop. That was with the Eagles in 2020, and Slay was still there. So I'm actually intrigued to see what he could do with Deontay Banks and Drew Phillips. And like I said, like NYG said, DJ Reed is a guy to keep an eye on because he's actually a free agent and he may come over with Mr. Marquand Manuel if we're willing to give him a decent contract. And that will be very good for him because it'd be very good for us because we get a veteran and he gets somebody that he's already familiar with that knows his concepts when it comes to the secondary, the DBs. So I mean that's a very good thing, man, to have. I'm cool with the hire, but we ain't gonna leave here without letting you see exactly who the dude is. So we're gonna get into a couple of interviews talking about Mr. Marquand Manuel. So we'll be right back. All right, this is a previous interview that I want you guys to listen to about Mr. Marquand Manuel and some of his concepts, and just to get a feel for what he believes in as far as being a DB's coach. Let's get into it.
We start about in our on defense is, and you hear Brick say it a lot about the ability to be able to do your job, and that sometimes get pushed under the water of really what you mean by do your job. Doing my job is actually going in on whatever play at whatever time that this part of the scheme asks me to do at that moment. And if you can do that, the effort and the intent that you bring with that detail, we will be successful. And that would not put you in a position to have to force yourself to do anything outside of it, just to do your job. And we use it lightly sometimes. But you got to understand, and we continuously talk about that part. What is doing my job? It's being detailed. It's not the except fors. It's being detailed, the intent, and now really what it means that if I do my job, my brother can do his. What's doing my job? How detailed was I on that play? And that's the question. My intent, my effort, football is the same game that we all fell in love with, and we won't change that part. But how detailed can I be to win a championship?
Take a more.
So that right there, man. Hey, listen, I'm with that, bro. We need that, bro.
100. 100.
Somebody that pays attention to the details of things.
Mm-hmm.
If we're in the zone coverage, get in your zone. Get enough depth on that receiver on the outside to where my safety could get over there and cover if he tries to do a hole shot. Get in your zone. If you're the slot corner and we need you to play the flat, play the flat. My linebacker should know that he has to get deep in the middle of the field of a Tampa 2. If we're going trips locations and we call Ali or Oski or whatever they call it in New York, because there's different things that different teams that different people call it, where you're supposed to switch if you see a guy coming to your area and you switch, so we won't get bunched up and somebody gets wide open on the deep pass because we're running into each other. Mm-hmm. It's details. Know when to pass off the receiver. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And look, the thing about what I like about this guy, he seemed confident, man. Like,
yeah, he seems confident.
He seemed like somebody that can command a room, that can command attention, that can, hey, look, y'all better get y'all's, you know what, together, man. You got to pay attention. You got to lock in. You know what I'm saying? The Giants need leaders. We talk about this a lot. So much with this team. This dude seems like he could be a leader of men in that secondary. We got a young secondary. You got Deontay Banks. You got Tyler Nubin. You got Drew Phillips. So you got Cordell Flott. So you need a dude, like a man, a grown man in that room saying, look, y'all young boys, get your shit together. He seemed like a dude, bro. I'm not going to hold you. I don't know the man. Don't know much about him. But from my initial impression, He seemed like a dude, and based on what he said, that's something I've always been saying. Detail is key, especially with a team like the Giants that make so many silly mistakes because they're not paying attention to detail. Gotta lock in.
And with that Jet
like
secondary, yeah, me too. With that Jet secondary, it was locked in. Now that's one part of that team that was locked in. That Jet secondary was very good. But you know, the Jets had the Giants syndrome where their offense wasn't doing nothing. They kept being on the field the whole game. You know what I'm saying? But when Aaron Rodgers and them played, they won. You know what I'm saying? And the Seattle defense locked in. That's one of the most locked in secondaries you'll ever see. Go watch some of the film on them dudes.
Facts.
You know what I'm saying? They knew what they were supposed to do, and they was in the spot they were supposed to be at every given moment. But I like the hire, man. We're gonna get into one more thing before we end this video. We're gonna see what the New York Giants brass feels about this hire. So we'll be right back. So we're gonna listen to what's this dude's name? It used to be a linebacker for us. I always forget his name.
London.
Yeah,
something
London.
Yeah,
his co-host on the New York Giants sports YouTube channel. We're gonna see what these guys have to say about the hiring of Marquand Manuel.
All right, Paul, the Giants fired 2 DB coaches last week. They just hired Marquand Manuel to
Justin London.
So, one, what do you know about Manuel, and what do you think about the hire?
Well, he doesn't have to move, Brandon. He worked the last 4 years.
Brandon London.
He was a safeties coach, I believe, there with the Jets. I heard he was popular with the players. A guy who likes to talk. Good with the media. Popular with the players, which was pretty much what Jerome Henderson was with the Giants, right? I thought he was popular with the players. He was very popular with the media. Sharp guy. I was quite frankly, a little surprised they let him go. But it's interesting, right? They fired the cornerbacks coach. Jerome Henderson was also the defensive passing game coordinator. He got elevated to that role last year. And Mike Trier, the safeties coach, off a defense that wasn't very good. And so far have retained everyone from the offensive staff, and the offense was lousy. But this is what happens, right? All around the league, this guy gets fired, coordinator, coach, special teams coach. So Manuel Marquard, Marquand Manuel, was a player in the league for 8 years. He played in a Super Bowl with the Seahawks and lost. He coached with the Seahawks in a Super Bowl, which they won. He's been around. I think he was with 6 teams in the NFL. He's been with a bunch of teams as a coach. He'll come in and fill that job. And you know what? We talked about, guys being coach killers, Evan Neal, Eric Flowers, where they coach killers, they got rid of offensive line coaches. Was Deonte Banks a little bit of a coach killer for Jerome Henderson? Right. Effort issues last year. Didn't play as well as the second year as his first year. So now, Marquand Manuel's, first, he's got to coach everybody, but his first marching order is get Deonte Banks to be the prospect we thought he was in his rookie year in 2023. You know what happens, right? First round picks get a lot of rope, right? And they don't hang themselves; they hang the coaches who work with them, right? Bobby Johnson was the offensive line coach with the Giants, right? And he couldn't really develop Evan Neal or Josh Izudu, and he was fired, and now he's with the Commanders. And oh, by the way, the Commanders were in the NFC Championship game. Their offensive line has done pretty well. Yeah. So it's tough to hook yourself with a prospect who doesn't perform well. Usually it's the coach who gets the heave-ho. Yeah.
So that's an interesting take, man.
That was a
real take because
I was an earful by Paul.
Yeah. Coach killers. Evan Neal. I mean, my man, been talking about Evan Neal, people like Josh Izudu. There's some merit to what the man just said. Coach killers. They got Bobby Johnson killed. He goes over to the
Yeah.
Commanders just like the players. Everybody that leaves the Giants seems to do well.
It
He has that
succeeds.
offensive line and blocker for Jaden Daniels in the NFC Championship game. So there's some merit to what he's saying. I'm not gonna go against him.
That's
Now,
tough.
only thing I will say is Deontay Banks he's only been in the league 2 years. So did he get Jerome Henderson the axe? I don't know. Hopefully Marquand Manuel can come in and see what he really is. And if Deontay Banks is a coach killer, hopefully we move off of him so he won't kill another coach. You know what I'm saying? What you gotta say about that, man?
Bro, you already know I've been one of the biggest supporters of Jerome Henderson, man, since he's been here with the Giants, man. This man's done wonders with DBs. And so the one DB that can't get right, you let him go. Like, wasn't Drew Phillips balling? Wasn't Cordell Flott improving? Like, wasn't Nubin doing well? Hasn't Pinnock been a gem, so to speak? And so one player, and that's I don't like the optics of that. You know what I'm saying? I'm just gonna be honest with you now. Marquand Manuel, I do like what he's saying. I do like his philosophy. So I'm not gonna be a Debbie Downer, but Jerome Henderson definitely got a raw deal, in my opinion. That's just me though. But yeah.
Yeah. I agree with you there. I do believe Jerome Henderson got a raw deal, but like I said, sometimes change is needed. And I'm not saying that Jerome Henderson was a bad coach. I said change is needed because he needs to get away from the New York Giants and go on and be the best DB coach in the league like he was for years while he was here. I do like the hire of Marquand Manuel, but I will say one thing. All this comes back to Dabo. Scapegoat. You heard what he said. Defensive coaches keep getting booted out left and right, but none of his offensive coaches have have gotten a boot. You know what I'm saying? It comes down to scapegoating. And my only advice is, Marquand Manuel, go in there, do your job to the best of your ability, but watch your ass when you get over there. That's all I'm gonna say to that, man. Watch your ass when you get over
there. A lot of them on the hot seat over there, man. That whole team is on the hot seat.
Man, that's a fact. And if you feel that Deontay Banks is not the type of guy that you can work with, don't work with him. You know what I'm saying? I would rather you bow out and be like, you know what? Get it. I'm not going to come over here and work with these guys that I know are not the type of guys that are willing to put it on the line for the team, are not willing to pay attention to the details of the game. We're not going to win a championship like that. And we're not going to win games like that. And we're definitely not going to win a championship like that. So I like the hire. I actually kind of love the hire because he comes from a pedigree. He actually played in the Super Bowl and coached in the Super Bowl, coached in multiple Super Bowls. So
yeah, true.
He knows what it takes to win, and he knows what it takes to be a player in the NFL. He played as a player and as a coach. Has been into Super Bowls, so he knows what it takes, man. I like the hire. I just don't like the optics of it, like you said. I believe Jerome Henderson was scapegoated. They probably didn't want to scapegoat Shane Bowen because you don't want to, just like the optics of Mike Kafka, they didn't want to do the same thing to Bowen that he did to Wink. So, you know what I'm saying? Bowen will be here, but hopefully he can get a control of this secondary and make our secondary better than what it has been the past 2 years. Well, the secondary is pretty good under Wink, but last year the secondary was pretty horrible, and Deontay Banks took a huge step back. So hopefully he can get him under his wing and turn him into a Sauce Gardner type, like how we all hope he turns out to be. But any last words when we get out of here, NYG?
Nah, man. Good luck to Marquand Manuel and Marquand Manuel. Got to get his pronunciation right. But good luck, man, and welcome to the New York Giants. You know, I'm gonna support you as long as you're here, brother. Like I did with Jerome Henderson, and hopefully we can get the secondary right and back to where it's supposed to be. So that's I'm gonna leave it at that, man. Be positive, man, about this man. You know what I mean? No
Yep.
need to poo on the hire.
Yep. No need to bring him into negativity his first day at the damn job. Ridiculous. But yo, this has been a quick Giants convo. New DB coach here with the New York Giants, Mr. Marquand Manuel. Been to 3 Super Bowls, one as a player, 2 as a coach, and I think it's a very good hire. But let's see what Mr. Brian Daboll can do this year with his coaching staff. But to the next episode, you know what it is, man. Peace.
Peace.